You can kill me, but you will never destroy me. It takes strength to resist the dark side.
Throughout heaven and earth, I alone am the honored one.
Are you kidding? Why the hell should I wait for you?
I know what it's like to try and rebuild a life. I had a bad day too, once.
If you're having nightmares, then welcome to the club. My name's Subaru Natsuki, and I am the Knight of Amelia.
Right now, all I can give you is just death.
It wasn't for you in particular.
You fought 100 men because it's not in your nature to run away.
If you are feeling disheartened, that you are somehow not enough, set your heart ablaze.
You know, I really should have... Is everything picking up all right? Hello, hello? Okay. It's just my mic audio volume. Okay. It's just my own side. If you can't hear me, if you can hear me, I would appreciate the heads up. I'm hoping that I'm not experiencing any... I'm paranoid. I'm in my head. Hello! Oh, God. I need to be careful. Hello, everybody! Welcome to the first animated of spring 2025. And there's a lot to talk about. But I really... There's one thing that has been on my mind here, just like starting to show up, is... I really should have taken this week where I've done nothing and actually made the new intro like I keep telling myself I'm going to. Okay, then. I look forward to it. Make sure everything's on straight. Yeah. So there's no real like big change in the itinerary other than I have a truckload of news to get through today. I mean, we're gonna do the usual anime rankings first, which will be short because there aren't as many to start this season off, to start this first week off with. But we have the Art Wars 2, which is really the primary topic that I named this for. We have an article that is an interview with Berserk's new author, Kenji Mori. Or Nori. Or Koji Mori. Koji Mori. Why do I keep butchering that name? Ignore that part. Some articles talking about the beginning after the end. What the fuck are all these ads? An article talking about not imitating overseas trends, and then some random Twitter topics that I can pull up because there are some things. Ironically, right as I dropped the Crimson Walsh video, someone decided to have a whole fucking Spurg moment about that very topic. It was interesting. I got to pull up one more post because apparently I did not think to get this one out. But that said, that's effectively what we're looking at. So, hello, Jeremy. I appreciate you being here. Marcel, it's always nice to have you around to bounce stuff off. Jeremy again. Muffler Tape, it's fun to talk to you as well. RG Energy, sorry if anything bad happened to your channel. It's not my fault. Blame Rolo. He enables everything. And Purist of all people. I am surprised you like come around here. I'm a weird individual. I'm surprised to see you show up recently. But yes, I appreciate everyone being here. So let's get right into this and start talking about this new season. And I finally realized, I really hope you didn't. I really hope this is a joke. I finally realized that I do have a third screen that I should be using. Because I'm running my administrative stuff off my laptop. So like I'm looking at chat and stuff, and I have like YouTube actually pulled up on my laptop, but I can cast my laptop to my TV screen here, which I almost never use, and use that for all the notes and stuff. I should have been doing that for a long time, but I haven't been because I'm dumb. And then I have this over here for actually doing all of the stuff like this. What is normal? Boring. That's what normal is. Mets are on. Just tell me who the new waifu is. We'll get to that. Let's set this aside for a second. Look, I've stated my opinion on like ecchi and the whole Gooner Gate thing and all of that. But I'll just pull this up because this is this lady. This is the heroine from Kulon Generic Romance. And I want this woman. So yeah, that's to explain that. Yes, I am very down bad for this girl at the moment. So do what you will with that information. It's just as far as that goes, Biggles, it is not what you would expect, actually. The title is a lie, and the first episode leaves you with a real what the fuck kind of experience. Blue Girl is pretty high up on the crazy hot scale. Yeah, she is. She is an appealing character, but I'm sorry. There's just something about this lady from Kulon Generic Romance that, like, I gotta have her. I gotta. But enough of this, okay? I'm supposed to be rating anime here, not simping for anime girls. So we are now moving into a new season, obviously, and these are the only things that are left over from winter. All right. See you later, Biggles. Oop. The friend doing the choking. Okay. But these are the only two anime that are left from the previous season. Obviously, if right now, from what I've seen, Apothecary Diaries is probably going to be the #1 spot for this season. I don't see much competing with it, although there are some ones that I didn't expect to like as much. Kulon Generic Romance being one of them for multiple reasons, and one of them absolutely being the second brain sort of reason. But I digress. So we can officially begin ranking the new anime that we have been watching. So we'll start with Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. And sorry if it does sound a little echoey or if it picks up extra noise. I mentioned this in my post on YouTube. I don't have a door on this room. So I'm kind of stuck. And I don't want to stop streaming, so I just got to put up with it. Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. This one, I'm teetering on the edge of very good and interesting. And I feel like I'm going to put it in the interesting category, although it is right there. If it steps up in the next couple of episodes or so, I probably will give it the very good ranking. But for now, it's going to go in the interesting. It starts off on a rough note. Not rough as in the sense that the writing is bad or that the series is bad. It starts off in like a very depressing sort of story about a guy who basically just wants to live a nice life and is doing everything he can for his family, only to get screwed out of absolutely everything he has ever wanted. He spends his life being the good guy, believing in karma, and trying to do everything right. And well, his wife cheats on him, and his daughter isn't even his. His boss frames him for embezzlement, and he has to pay off all the debts because they believe he stole the money. And he basically gets fucked by everything in life. And he dies and gets reincarnated as the son of a couple of delinquent nobles who then stick him in a similar situation, pinning all their debts on him and trying to screw him over. But in this life, he's no longer playing nice. So he actually does start to turn things around. He is actually just living his life the way he wants to live at this time, and he doesn't give two fucks about anyone else. Unfortunately, I couldn't find any other episodes of this, so only the first 3 that I've seen. It is a good series, but I feel like it might fall a little bit more into the generic isekai slop than the kind of things I would put in the very good, Marcel. Just to answer these claims, I do really like it. But there's a part of me that really wants to just hold off for a second because I do see the potential for it to get really generic right out the gate. But hey, I could eat my words in the next over the next I don't know how many weeks over the rest of the season, and it may end up going to very good. That's why I do these weekly, to update everyone about my opinions on these anime and just to genuinely talk about them and have some fun. So, yeah. Also, hello, Rolando. Good to see you. After Shield Hero, first one I experienced the MC getting bent over in the first episode. This was the first one that gave me a visceral hatred for the antagonist. Yes, I agree. I have a personal beef against, and it doesn't really come from anywhere. It's just I have a personal grudge against anyone who shows like disloyalty in those kinds of relationships. So the wife in the first episode pissed me off, and she did get her comeuppance. She basically she ended up getting left with nothing in the second episode because her partner that she was having the affair with ends up getting caught and arrested, and all the money that she was counting on to live her lavish life disappeared. But I think it should have gone further. I honestly would have liked to see her suffer and squirm more and realize just how fucked her life is. Would that have helped the series? Probably not. So from a writing standpoint, it was a good decision not to show it and just do a little bit of a blurb to get past it. But from my personal satisfaction, I would have liked to see the wife get hit by a bus and be paralyzed for the rest of her life. She a bitch. All right, so that's Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. The next one on the list to talk about will be The Unaware Atelier Meister. And now this one, and I will give this caveat. Pardon me. It is not as, strictly speaking, it is not as good of a series as Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire. It is not. And writing-wise and character-wise, story-wise, all of that. It is like generic fantasy sort of thing. It relies very heavily on obvious tropes. It relies very heavily on a gimmick. But I still really enjoyed the first episode of it. I thought it was more fun than what I expected. So this one is effectively, your standard meh story about the guy who joins the ultimate party, and then he's the one who does all like the menial tasks and stuff, and he's super important, but nobody realizes it, and then he gets thrown out because everyone thinks he's useless, and it turns out he's actually really, really powerful. It's that kind of a story. But this one is a much more lighthearted turn and a much more fun experience just overall. Because instead of being OP in combat, our main character, who is like a little like effeminate dude, if we're being entirely honest, our main character, he is overpowered at literally anything but combat. The dude built a house overnight. We'll just leave it at that. So, yeah, he has a lot of like random skills and stuff that he's built up over the years, things that he's really good at. He's just, for some reason, not at all good at combat. So nobody recognized just how crazy he was. And now there are people who are already sort of vying to keep his identity secret because they realize just how useful of a person he is to have around. It was fun. It was entertaining. Is it a better written, better constructed story than Evil Lord of an Intergalactic Empire? No. But I had more fun watching it. So, we'll leave it at that. So, sue me if you want. I enjoyed it. Oh boy. I doubt it with the tone of the show. I doubt they'll do something like that. Especially given the way the women react to him. They see him more as cute than appealing. But we'll see. We'll see. I could eat my words on that. Let's go over here. So, the next one on the list to talk about. It's kind of the one that has spawned the biggest debate this season. Is it not in here? Main girl would definitely like that. Okay. SSS means yes, yes, yes. I like it. I approve of that. You know what? You've earned. You've earned a little bit of Carol Olston. Carol Olston. Okay. So, yeah, the big one that has caused a lot of the debate this season. The beginning after the end. And this one's just okay. Now, we're going to set aside the fact that it does absolutely live in the shadows of Mushoku Tensei right now, because its first episode is almost a carbon copy of the first episode of Mushoku Tensei. There's no way around that. You cannot deny it. They copied it down to the very fact that, or down to the very like minute element of Rudy sitting there reading a book and scratching his butt. Literally everything that happens in the first episode is Mushoku Tensei episode 1. But we'll put that aside. On its own, it's not a bad story. I do like the idea of like this, heartless king sort of having the journey of redemption and becoming a more human person in the second life because he actually has a family who cares about him. That part of it I do think is a good concept. But this first episode doesn't do a good job of selling it. We'll see what happens with the second episode. We'll see how it plays out here in a little bit. Because, well, in the first two episodes of Mushoku Tensei, you had gotten a full introduction to Rudy's character and like all of the side characters and the family dynamic and the things that drive him. In this, I don't know. It hasn't sold me as much as the first two episodes of Mushoku Tensei, so it's really going to depend on how it does with this next episode before I really cement my judgment on it. Give me a copy and make the MC less of a useless scumbag, and I'll eat that up. I don't remember Rudy ever being useless. He's pretty active and important to the entire story. So, but that's neither here nor there. Setting all that aside, it definitely struggles with animation. Like, it is absolutely leagues behind in terms of animation when it comes to Mushoku Tensei. I mean, if that still doesn't make him useless. Like, he still was able to fight off monsters, helped kill a dragon, if I remember correctly, and a bunch of other things, and yeah. That's your opinion, bro. Whatever. But I don't think it was a bad arc. Yeah, something on him was useless. It was certainly an interesting turn of events, and I genuinely do understand why people who don't like the way it went because they weren't expecting it. Like, I can understand that point of view, like, genuinely. I just disagree with it. I think in the overall term, like in overall like story writing, the character, everything, all of that, I think it all fits together really well. All right. Yeah, so the beginning after the end right now is okay. And people are telling me it takes 50 chapters of the novel to get good. Really? You're not doing a good job of selling me on this series. Like, the only time you can say something gets good, or I'm sorry, I would say that your story should start good and get better after 50 chapters. It shouldn't start okay and then get good 50 chapters in. I'm not going to suffer 50 chapters of mediocrity just for the story to really, really get good. Now, a lot of people will make the memes about like One Piece and stuff in that situation where like One Piece gets good after. I would say One Piece is genuinely just good all the way through. It's just, it doesn't really truly like pop off until Water 7, if you ask me. Like, Water 7 is the one that like I was enjoying the show up to that point. But the moment it got to Water 7, I was like, oh, wow, I understand why people love the series now. If it takes 50 chapters to get good, you have to have some sort of hook. Exactly. And I'm not, unlike with Mushoku Tensei, I'm not hooked on the personalities. I'm not hooked on the characters or the story or the world. It rings hollow so far. Oh, I think I forgot one actually. So I do have to really quick go find one more entry to put on this list because I need to talk about Catch Me at the Ballpark. I do agree. Like, I genuinely do like One Piece. It's a good series, and I think Oda is a fantastic writer. It's just, I struggle to watch it because of the gargantuan task that is catching up on One Piece. Did I really? I didn't add it in here. Okay. Apparently I'm logged out. Okay. Give me a second. Okay. So yeah, we're as far as that stuff goes. I'll continue to like Mushoku Tensei for a long time to come. I don't have a problem with season 2. I thought it was really good, and I like the way it ties everything together with the family elements and all that. Quick ad. Let's go. Catch me at the. Okay. Catch Me at the Ballpark ad, select score, watching. We'll give it a 7 for now. We've seen 1 episode. Put that on there. Refresh the page so that Catch Me at the Ballpark is in here, and we will save the image. To the tier list folder, and then we can actually go back to. Sorry, this is taking a little bit because I got to jump through a couple of hoops. Open. There we go. Now we're here. We are back, and we can talk about Catch Me at the Ballpark. This is another one that's going to go in the interesting category because I actually do like it. I'm not a baseball or sports fan whatsoever. As far as this goes, like, this is one that does have good personalities to hook you. You're effectively following the story of this new vendor girl who is working the ballpark. She goes around selling beer, and she notices this guy who is a huge fan of baseball, who always like sits on his own, and basically it's sort of like starts a sort of relationship with him, becomes kind of friendly and familiar with him. And she's really like trying to break herself out of her shell. Like, she's super nervous and everything, but she puts on like a front to act all confident and all that. It's fun. It's entertaining. Sorry, I'm still struggling a little bit with the voice. It was a comfort series, pretty much. There wasn't anything terrible about it. I thought the guard thing was a tad cheesy, but I'll forgive it because overall it's a good show, and I do enjoy it. The main character is the impish type. So do with that information what you will. But she's endearing. I do like her. And the way she is sort of like clumsy, even though she tries to put on this like really like confident persona in front of people. And yeah, it's genuinely a good show. And I don't really know if there's much else to say. Like, I do like the animation for the ending. That was something that I thought was unique. I don't really like the music didn't stick in my mind after that. But it wasn't a bad outro, as far as I remember. The thing that really stuck with me, though, was the way they animated that outro, and I thought that was interesting. It was fun. Catch Me at the Ballpark didn't disappoint. Checked it out after you guys mentioned it last week. Nice. Okay. Glad you liked it. I think she was pretty cute. Also, adults actually having a good time with a beer. I like that. Yeah. It's a pretty chill series. Honestly, it's going to be something along the lines of what I had hoped Miss Elf would be and what I Have a Crush at Work is. But I hope this one has a little bit more like substance to it to actually make it satisfying by the end. Because even if you are like a comfort series, there does need to be that level of satisfaction in order to like, so you don't just get to the end and feel empty. It was nice to have something a little more neutral of a setting. Never been to Tokyo. Yeah. I haven't either, but I do want to go. I actually want to, I'm going to start saving up money actually to try and take a trip to Akihabara, at least like Tokyo, because I do want to go to like Akihabara and stuff and, you know, do some shopping there because, yeah. Anyway, Catch Me at the Ballpark, it was entertaining. That's all I can say about that. Is I like the characters. I may not be a fan of baseball or anything, but I've enjoyed the part of it that's actually like what it's selling. So we'll move on from there. That's not. All right, moving on down the line, we will get to the first of this season's ecchi anime. And now, since I've basically been gooning for the past half a day over over this. Like, this is an actual shot from the anime, by the way. This isn't just some like screenshot from like promotional material. Like, that's actually like a screenshot. So since I've been doing that, I have no right to complain about any ecchi or whatever. So let's talk about please put them on Miss Takamine. Now, Crunchyroll earned a lot of respect for airing this one completely uncensored. So yeah, there are some titties involved. This one is very much a lewd anime. And now, generally, what happens to be like my big issue is that lewd anime will focus too much on the lewd, not enough on the story, and they won't give us good characters or anything interesting. I won't be invested in it, and it'll basically just be defective porn. That was effectively my issue with Beihei Neko last season. Is it was effectively just a defective hentai. This one, I don't get that feeling from. So again, I'm putting this in the interesting category. And I'm going to put it below Catch Me at the Ballpark. This one I actually did like. The intro and outro were actually very interesting. The intro to this series, I believe it's called Baby, 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 was actually pretty catchy. It reminded me a lot of oh god. It reminded me a lot of, sorry, distracted by someone commenting on some stuff. It reminded me a lot of Love is War intros. And I kind of like that. So I do kind of vibe with the intro to this series, unironically. And I like the characters and the designs, and it's somewhat entertaining. You get the sense that there's actually some sort of plot here, like the our main heroine, Takamine, is actually trying to manipulate things in order to get herself together with our very timid main character. And that comes from my impression of her in the manga as well, because I have read some of this series. This one, not bad as far as like the ecchi and the plot stuff together. It was pretty heavy thematically, and there's an implied magic system that could be interesting if there's more than one user. That could turn out to be like an interesting plot twist if they do something like that, but I haven't gotten that far into it. Right now, what it seems like is Takamine knows our main character from somewhere, and she has been subtly sort of like trying to get his attention and has finally found her way to like keep him close to her. That's what it seems like to me. That seems to be the case. Pardon that. My normal stuffiness combined with the lingering effects of the cold have not helped. So yeah, it does suffer a little bit from the usual overburdening of like plot with the sexy that ecchi does. But it is far better than most experiences, I should say, I've had with anime. With ecchi anime in general. So it's an interesting series. It could get good. I actually genuinely think I will be watching this one all the way through. I don't have a problem with it. But boobs. Look, boobs are great. No matter how big or what shape, boobs are great. Okay? Take a drink before I move on to the next one. Hey, the Gray Pilgrim. Nice to see you. As long as it's a woman, yes. I do agree with that. As long as it's a woman. So that is our first ecchi of the season. And the other one's still yet to air. So we'll get to that when it happens. Moving along, we'll talk about... Did I forget this one too? Oh my gosh, I forgot a couple of them. Shit. Okay, I got to put 2 more on the list. How did I am so stuffed tonight. Well, luckily I don't have to sign in again. I can just quickly add these. So, let's see. 2 Perfect Saint. We'll add this. Watching. And this one. So fuck, do we have to qualify that? Yes. It helps if I can spell if I want to find these things. I'll actually do that. 1 episode. Add. All right. Cool. I'll do a quick refresh here. And now we have to go for the 2 Perfect Saint, which is the next one on the list. Save image as 2 Perfect Saint. And then the Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadow. Save image as Brilliant Healer. Did I save? Okay. I just had the wrong file type. I had the wrong option selected. We'll just keep that open just in case something else goes wrong. 2 Perfect Saint. Brilliant Healer. Open. There we go. Okay, there we go. Jeez, okay. I'm back. So what is everyone talking about? So no dudes. So no dudes with boobs. Yeah, I'm not. That's pretty much all women had going. That's pretty much all that a woman had going for her. That groups that reposted. Yeah, you're wrong. And you can fuck off. What's happening? You don't need to know. The best personalities in the Neat show last season were on a dude, which was problematic. Kept forgetting it was actually a dude. Meh. Well, you know what? Boo. Fuck you. Well, I would start arguing with you, but I have to remember you're a ginger, so fuck off. Gingers don't have rights. Okay, 2 Perfect Saint. So this one for now, I find it hard to get a read on. So it's just going in the okay. So right now, I do really hope that Ophelia gets a better treatment than what's going on, but it really does have the stereotypical mistreated protagonist thing going that has been very, very prevalent in the past couple of seasons to my experience. And I do imagine that the younger sister in this one is going to protest. Now, effectively, the point of this is that the plot of this is that the main character is effectively she has magic powers, and they're very rare in this world, and people with magic powers are highly valuable. So she basically spends her life honing her abilities in order to perform perfectly at everything. It's just she comes off as very emotionless and uncaring. So that makes a lot of people think that she's mean and not a good person, which is stupid because she's constantly going out and doing a bunch of stuff for other people. So almost her whole family betrays her. Her fiance sells her off to another country in favor of marrying her sister, and her sister is the only person who actually likes this, who likes Philia. So basically, she is surrounded by shitty people, and they all mistreat her, except for her sister. And now she's actually going to a place that will likely treat her better. And yes, I do like her character. It's just one that's kind of in the holding zone for me right now until I get a better read on it, because I don't know what it's going to do yet. I don't have a good read on this one for some reason. Like, I feel like it could go anywhere. See, this is where you're wrong, okay? Because she doesn't actually need to wear the glasses. Let me find the image. I will. Here you go. I rest my case. Man, you're fucking crazy. You're fucking crazy, man. Okay. Anyway, everyone's taste in women aside, I'm looking forward to the rest of Two Perfect Saint right now, because I'm hoping it'll actually impress me with something. But I haven't found that in this first episode. So that's why it's in the okay category. Moving down the line, the next one that I happened to forget was the Brilliant Healer's New Life in the Shadows. Now, I did expect this one to be a pretty generic fantasy sort of thing. And for the most part, it is written like a pretty generic fantasy thing. But with this one, I like the main character and the way he handles things. And there was a surprising good bit of animation in this one. I thought it was going to be generic crap, and they were going to skimp on a lot of things just to make it a project to sell some merch real quick. But no, this one actually did impress me a little bit with the short little fight scene that they had. So there's some genuine potential in this taking off, if you ask me. Now, right now, it's still sort of generic writing. The characters, everyone who isn't the main character kind of just comes off as your stereotypical waifu fodder. But at the very least, I am intrigued, because when it came to him actually fighting the demon possessed girl, it looked better than I expected it to be. Healer didn't do it for me. I'll hold off till you guys watch more and let me know. I respect that, and I actually agree with this for a little bit, Marcel. I thought the first episode was bad. It threw us in we've known those characters for 2 seasons. Yes, it easily could have handled that much better. That's one of my big complaints about it, actually. It does sort of drop us off in the middle. But I feel like it's going to do something similar to Berserk, where we get introduced to the story, and then we'll get some of the background and how we got there. It is a little bit jarring to get dropped into the first episode, and it doesn't do a good job of establishing everything. You're just sort of expected to know the characters. That isn't a really good play. So if that turns people off, I genuinely respect it. That is not a good choice for the writing. But overall, as far as the show goes, the main character in that action sequence did kind of sell me somewhat on it. This would have probably gone at the bottom of the okay category if I hadn't liked the way the main character handled the events at the later half of the episode, and how they had actually put a little bit of effort into the animation. Of course, this could end up being a the detective is already dead sort of scenario where the animation of the first episode fools everyone into watching the rest of the series, and it never lives up to that quality ever again. In that case, this will drop promptly back to the bottom. But for now, based on this first episode, I do kind of like it. I do enjoy it. So that is pretty much it. I like the charity of it. I like a little bit of the animation. But I do not have like this expectation that it will hold up over time. All right. Moving on. Let's talk about the Apothecary Diaries, because that's the big one. So, this episode, we get a new intro and outro, and I actually do really like the outro for this episode, or for this one. Am I thinking of the right anime? I'm pretty sure I'm thinking of the right anime. But yeah, in this one, Shisui seems a bit too out of place in this with how clever she is. It seems like they're subtly hinting that she doesn't actually belong in the Rear Palace and that she's up to something without really trying to say it outright. And that's something that the Apothecary Diaries is really good at. But we do get our bathhouse episode, so there is a lot of that. And the start of a new ghost story in this one. But really, like the big thing in this is just Mao Mao genuinely being nice to the I don't know, what is her name, Li Hua? I forget what the Lolan. I don't remember the young girl who was basically being treated like a political hostage in the Rear Palace. I like this episode, but it was a little bit strange. And again, with the Shisui stuff, I really feel like there was something to her character that we're going to get hit with later in the story. And I just can't quite put my finger on what it is, whether she's like a spy or something, or she's related to someone in power or whatever. Overall, though, good episode for the Apothecary Diaries. That's to be expected, though. The Apothecary Diaries is just genuinely a good show. All right, let's continue on, because there really isn't much to say about that, because there isn't a whole lot of big plot developments. So we are getting into a... We don't need to think about that. A lot of this show isn't really historically accurate. You know, it did have some fan service right out the gate, though, is the next one we're going to talk about. Fire Force. And of course, we get Tamaki's Lucky Lecture Lure right out the gate. So we're picking up right where we left off all those years ago when season 2 ended. And when was that? I can't quite remember when that was. But any suspicion people had about Burns is pretty much justified at this point. I kind of figured that the dude wasn't worth trusting and that he was just going to be a problem overall. Of course, we do get like the whole issue of the White Clad taking over. There is Haumea being a psychopath manipulator. And of course, the Soul Eater son, which, I mean, at this point, everyone should be aware that this is, I believe, a prequel to Soul Eater. But we've gotten a very interesting situation brewing here, and it looks like they may be ending the series with this one. I don't know. Someone can correct me on that. But it looks like they are going to be doing one of the big, most anticipated fights, and that is Arthur versus Dragon, because you can kind of see that in the intro. And if they actually do end it with this season, cool. That would be a really good pace for the story. I mean, to be honest, I didn't really remember much from the prior seasons. I need an episode 0. Yeah, I feel that. I'm basically clinging, like clawing out whatever scraps I can from my memory, and it would have been done me better to actually watch the first 2 seasons. But I did like it. Is Fire Force worth watching to get caught up on? Never watched it. To answer that question, I'm not really sure. I would say it is worth a watch because it's fun. I like a lot of the characters. They're all like unusual and quirky in ways that like really bounce off each other well. They have a good chemistry with the cast. They have cool powers and the fights are interesting. I would not say it's the best shonen out there. Okay? Because it's not. It isn't really the most amazing shonen out there, but it's fun. And sometimes that's all you need. That's why you watch stuff like Solo Leveling. That's why you watch Fire Force. It is really just a series that you will watch because it is fun. Okay. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Fire Force. Your Forma is next. Another one that for now is just kind of okay, because like you said with the healer about dropping you off in the middle like you're supposed to know a bunch of stuff, this one has that same problem. It effectively, the premise is that the main character, this chick who is right here on the bottom, is a detective, and they're at like a technological level in this series where they have like human like android they have human-esque androids who almost look identical to humans, and they have the ability to like dive into people's memories and read like their memories and like actually experience them and see them for themselves. So her whole job is she actually specializes in deciphering people's memories, and she's so good at it nobody else can keep up, so she needs her android companion. And it's a mystery series because she's a detective, so it's up my alley, but it does a really bad job when it comes to introducing you to the world because it drops you off in the middle of a world that acts like it's established but doesn't give you any of the cues to really keep up with what's going on. You'll see a lot about St. Petersburg, London, and a bunch of like Interpol and stuff like that. So there's a lot of references to multiple places that if look, I'm an American, so I don't quite know, but I'm pretty sure St. Petersburg and London are 2 very, very different places. It still is interesting. I just found it a little bit harder to follow. It was a little bit more jarring because I wasn't tracking everything that was going on until about halfway through the episode. And when it comes to mystery, I feel like you should be doing a good job of keeping people following you along. If you're not doing that, you're gonna have issues. But I'm going to give it a chance because I like mystery. And I do like the concept of like this memory diving thing that they're doing. It has me intrigued in a lot of ways. It just didn't deliver very well in the first episode, in my opinion. So, yeesh. I want them to do better. I want them to get better. Okay. So I'm gonna go out on a limb for this one. The next one on the list a Sword of the Demon Hunter. And this one was an experience. So after talking about all these shows that have had an issue of giving you the background you need to properly keep up with the show, this one doesn't struggle with that. And it's actually a very good show, if you ask me. So the premise is that the main character is someone who runs away from home with his little sister because of their abusive father. And they end up getting adopted into this village that is protecting a legendary sword. And they have this priestess and her holy power to protect it and all that. It's an interesting plot, but it does a really good job of developing its characters and giving you the whole background. And the first episode is 53 minutes long, or 55 minutes long. It's a very, very extended episode. Not Oshinoko kind of extended, but still an extended episode. So you get this whole thing of selling you the characters and everything that's happened that they go through that leads to the actual plot. So this first episode is actually a prologue to the main body of the story. And you honestly would not expect it to go where to become like a modern Japan sort of thing by the way it starts out. And yes, it was very good for the complicated story that it's sort of doing, the way it required certain character interactions and to sell you on certain people in the story and like how you're supposed to feel on them. It needed this setup and it executed it fantastically. Like genuinely did good. And the only point that I would say it may want to improve would be animation. But even then, it wasn't bad. It was still a good show. It's got a cool premise. Effectively, like I said, this main character, he's adopted into this this village, and he becomes a sentinel to guard this princess who he grew up with. He was basically raised alongside her after being adopted, and they were in love with each other, but they ended up going separate ways. They ended up going like separate ways in life on that aspect. She decided to marry someone else, and he wholeheartedly supported her decision because it was better for the village overall. So they were basically like amicably deciding to like both set their sides or set their feelings aside for the betterment of everyone else. And then that leads to the little sister character going into full rampage mode. And well, there's a lot of death and destruction and tragedy that leads this to being a bit of a revenge story at this point, which is good. It honestly set up the revenge part really well. And I kind of disagree with this actually, because I can't really see as much of the comparison to Demon Slayer in this as I could see the comparison to Mushoku Tensei in the beginning after the end. This differentiates itself quite a bit from what happens in Demon Slayer, if you ask me. But nonetheless, I still did see people make references to Demon Slayer and describing it. Genuinely, though, I do recommend watching this series. Like, it is good. We still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more to go. So we're going to wrap that one up. Great story, great pacing, really well executed. It did everything that it needed. It did everything that it needed to do. Okay, it looks like my laptop is having trouble connecting. Sorry, that made me scared there for a second. tech issues that I will deal with on my own. I don't know why it's having trouble. Anyway, I guess we'll just continue down the line, and I won't be able to see anyone's comments for a little bit while I talk about these things. So I'll just have to sort of come back in as things move along. So, what do we got next? Boy, girl. Can a boy-girl friendship survive? This one was actually genuinely a very good show. It was one that I was completely satisfied watching. It actually beat my expectations. I had expected it to be somewhat generic and not super amazing, but turns out it has a lot of great character work going on. Bad streamer. What would you know about fucking streaming, Pilgrim, huh? Well, guess what? Everything's back to working as normal. Fuck you. My mods are assholes. My mods are all assholes. So yeah, this one was genuinely good. Like the childhood or the friend character, the blue-haired girl, she's crazy. She is chaos gremlin. But it makes the whole show fun. And I like the fact that we actually have like the shy, reserved protagonist in this who isn't absolutely useless at anything. He actually has a good he actually has some like highly specialized skills that make him really good at things. And he's fairly accomplished for a young man. I mean, he has his own business in high school. So for being like shy or whatever, I think it's done that trope really well. Well, yeah, she talked about how she was dating half the school while being friends with him. Yeah, she wasn't really like into them at all, though. She kind of describes it as killing time. And to be fair, I don't think either of them really are like interested in the other at this point. He's interested in someone else. He just doesn't know who they are because there was someone he was a fan of. And now our black-haired girl is coming into this. And I think that's the guy, the girl that he was interested in previously. And I think this is going to turn into a bit of a mess as far as a love triangle is considered. But as far as the characters go, I actually like the main character. He's cool. I mean, not cool, but he's interesting. I like him as the main character in this story. He does an effective part in that. The black-haired girl is probably the long-lost crush that he's been looking for. And the blue-haired girl is just Chaos Gremlin who makes the whole show fun to watch. I mean, the interactions between her and the black-haired girl were absolutely fucking fantastic. It was hilarious all the way through. Just the way she behaves makes this whole thing worth it. It was fun. So I really don't have anything to complain about. I do see the potential for this, though, going up in smoke as it drowns itself in its own character drama. But we'll see. We'll see where this goes. But right now, I do really like the first episode. Let's talk about this one. One that I've been anticipating for a little while. This is another very good entry. I wouldn't put it over Fire Force. Yaiba, Samurai Legend. And now this one caught my eye because of the animation and art style. So it's very much like like retro OG Dragon Ball looking. So it has that sort of nostalgic feel to it just because of the way it looks. The story, though, very much like early shonen, very much the kind of thing you would expect out of Toriyama's early works. It's very gag heavy, doesn't really like take itself too terribly seriously, and it's very much like a standard power up sort of progression. Main character just likes strength and wants to fight strong people to make himself stronger. Yada 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 yada. In that regard, it's meh. Or in the writing regard, it's okay. But I do enjoy it because it is entertaining. Very old school, but still very entertaining to me. So I liked it. Didn't like the art style. It was like the first episode of Detective Conan. But the animators were pretty good. Still uncertain about it. Respectable. I enjoyed it. I liked it. I thought it was fun. It's different. It's something that's definitely unique this season. But I do see it becoming a bit of an issue in its own right for whatever it's going to pull. So let's move along. Move along. Shoshimi. So I'm going to put this one in the very good category because I do pretty much love Shoshimi. I liked the first season. I've been looking forward to the second season, and this is sort of starting up what looks like is going to be the main girl Osanai's more yandere tendencies. I mean, it's pretty clear that she is manipulative and very scheming. She is crazy. She is like a 9 on the crazy scale. And probably not hot enough to make up for it. But I enjoy the mystery stuff they do. One of the other complaints I have is they have it shot in like ultra wide, so like it has this really weird aspect ratio to it. And that's fucking weird. But I liked the like everyday mystery kind of stuff that they were doing. I thought that was fun. It's something that I enjoy. I'm kind of interested to see where this is going to go. I'm kind of like expecting the two main characters to sort of end up coming back together after parting ways in the last season. First time hearing of it. To be fair, I don't think a lot of people were too terribly interested in it. It's kind of a niche series. But I was happy with the first episode because it's kind of implying that our main character is going to get involved in the case to try and figure out who's starting the fires. And I think it's kind of heavily implying that Osanai is involved in starting all the fires because she's plotting something. She's up to something. So yeah, I enjoy this series. I don't think I put it at the must-watch category, but it's good. It's fun. I do like it. It's personally one of my favorites of the last, not personally one of my favorites. It was one of my favorites of the last year, but I digress. I'm talking too much. All right, let's talk about, we got 3 left. Because I skipped Dinner Table Detective. Don't even get me. Ooh. Okay, so I made the absolute poor decision to watch this thing dubbed. That was a huge mistake. The dub for this is terrible. There's no other way to describe it. It is terrible. And as far as the writing goes, it is the most basic ass mystery that you could ever imagine. And the whole point of it really is to make a mockery of the two main detectives, because she's effectively followed around by a butler who actually does all of the actual solving while insulting their intelligence. But like nothing in the show is interesting up until they talk about the butler. It basically comes off as some like Mean Girls like gossip, and I'll have to watch the rest of this subbed because holy shit, that was a bad fucking dub. And that's saying something because I do watch a fair number of dubs and I can tolerate some bad dubbing, but this one, it was enough to make me go feral. Basically, you get a bunch of Mean Girl gossip, some bad detective work. The main character is this heiress who likes to like play detective. And she like pretends to be really serious and all that, and her like the detective the actual detective she works with is not good at his job whatsoever. So I think it's intended to be a bit of a parody and a bit more of a comedy. But even then, it feels insulting to watch the like one of the most uninteresting mystery series. And only at the very beginning, or at very end, I should say, do you get any semblance of someone actually putting in effort to try and solve this fucking case. Because everyone else is just incompetent. And there are instances in this that just don't make sense. Like someone found the person who gets attacked in this. I don't even know if they're dead or not. At one point, they like rush them off to the hospital. At another point, they say that the chick is dead, but so they find the chick like bleeding from the skull because someone beat her over the head with a pot, okay, like a planting pot, and she's still alive. And she basically, like, there's a whole crowd gathered. They had time for, like, the main character to go change and then appear on the spot. Yeah, this is exactly the point I'm making. They had the time to give the victim first aid, and they didn't. They basically, if she's actually dead, they let her die. But the victim has time to basically hand them the case and say, give them like a bunch of clues right off the bat. It was ridiculous. Oh, hopefully they actually make something funny out of it in the coming episodes, because damn, was that not good whatsoever. Did I? Huh. Okay, cool. I don't know. I don't know if that would be the case. It's incompetence all around. It is insane. We got a couple more here to talk about. Actually, I got 3 more because I don't think I've talked about A Rank Adventure yet. So much like the Eminence and Shadow, I like the overlap of the worlds element. Also, hello, Readout Production. Fashionable Readout is here. Longing for a day I have time to devote to following a current series. Yeah, and there are a lot of them, and sometimes you'll pick up one that just sucks. So I get it. But back to like A Rank Party. Much like the Eminence and Shadow, they're doing like the parallel world / like world merger sort of thing, where like there are these calamitous events where like 2 parallel worlds collide, and there's a bunch of stuff that happens because of them. The dungeon emerging, or the parallel world emerging through a dungeon, is an interesting fact. I like how they've incorporated that in and actually made it a major plot point. That part of this whole thing has been cool. And this episode was effectively really, really good up until the very end when they just make up some bullshit about making Yuke the hero. They basically go through all this stuff about how they're facing like a world-ending threat if they don't do something about this dungeon. And then they basically force feed this like prophecy bullshit based off a mural from ancient times, and that they were going to make Yuke the fucking hero. That part really killed my buzz when it came to this series. Overall, though, a pretty good episode, and it's still in the very good category. I just wish they hadn't gone with the hey, you see this ancient mural we found? Well, the way we're gonna fight this is we're gonna make you the legendary hero. You really could have cut that part out, and it would have been good. There were some cases on Detective Conan that were similar to that. The victim was still alive and they just let them die. I've never watched Detective Conan, so I would not know. Yeah. I'll just leave it as I'm kind of disappointed with the way A Rank Party ended its latest episode, but I'm still very interested in its world building and what it's been doing with the dungeons and with the parallel worlds and stuff like that. That part has been exciting, but overall, it's not been there was a biff. There was a biff in there. He already has all the waifus. Why not become the hero? Okay, for me. It's not the worst plot twist in there. I just it was a really ham-fisted way to do it, if you ask me. All right, two more, and we'll save the best for last. So this means we're going into from Country Bumpkin to Master Swordsman, the Paul Greyrat Isekai. And you know what? I rather liked this one, actually. It was entertaining. The sword fighting isn't bad. They do use some heavy CGI for it, but it doesn't look terrible. It looks like they're improving on the technology quite a bit. And it has been getting much better. Effectively, the premise of this one is that the main character is the teacher at like a sword school off in the country, and he has tutored some very, very famous people. He doesn't think much of his skills, but apparently he's one of the greatest swordsmen to ever live. And all of the waifus trained under him. So it's going to be a lot like really, what I can say is it's gonna be a lot like Middle-Aged Shopper in a sense, where I've never watched One Piece subbed, so I wouldn't know. Call me a criminal for that. But I tried the dub for this one, and it was pretty bad as well. So I switched immediately over to the sub. And it was a much better experience the moment I started watching the sub for this one. like genuinely, this and this have terrible dubs. Terrible. But yes, Paul Greyrat Isekai. It's basically going to be like a harem fantasy series about an old guy who is a really overpowered swordsman, but every one of his students wants to like have his children. So that's a thing. It'll be interesting to watch, and I did enjoy it. Just for what it is. But I would never say it was something amazing. So that finally brings us to the last one of the night. The one that I have not stopped talking about at all tonight. And it goes in the must-watch category, obviously, because, well, would. Do with that quote what you will. A show about sheathing swords. Nice. But yes. Kulon Generic Romance. Yeah, fucking fight me, dude. I don't care. That was when I haven't watched One Piece since I first started watching anime. Do with that information what you will. But yes, Kulon generic romance is effectively this, like, it will sell you on the idea that it is a workplace romance, okay? And effectively, these people live in this sort of like run down area, and they work in like a real estate management company. They help set people up in like apartments and all that. And you basically get this whole first episode of the two main characters sort of building this relationship. And it does seem to be somewhat like futuristic because they're talking about making like a second Earth and all that. And there's some sci-fi elements to it. So you'll get this whole thing of them building up this relationship and everything. And it does they're making out in like the first episode. And then you get to the end of the episode. And things take a huge turn. If you haven't seen it, and you want to at least check it out, I will not spoil it here for you. But with this, the ending of this was it was something else. It became a completely different like series right at the end there with the photograph and everything. I honestly went into this like, okay, well, the chick's kind of my type, and I do like the animation style, and I like my romance anime, so I'm gonna check it out. And they have generic in the title, Kulon generic romance, but there ain't nothing generic about this. I am really curious to see what the heck is going on. Like, out of yes, this is the hot chick. Yes. This one be wilding this week. So that is effectively all of the anime that I have watched. That is getting caught up on the week, and it still took a huge chunk of time to go over. Wow. But who cares? This one was going to be long anyway. We did it. We made it through everything that has aired. Now, I have been catching up on Windbreaker, because I was recommended to check out Windbreaker to get caught up for season 2 this week. So I am behind. I'm still not caught up on Windbreaker, but I'm at like episode 5 of season 1. I agree. Like, new favorite waifu. And just because I can, we're gonna bring this up as we talk a little bit about this. Yeah, new favorite waifu. Which is funny because I've talked so much about like elves and stuff, and then this. But yeah, let's remove that really quick. Okay. Windbreaker. That's where I was. Thank you for reminding me, Marcel. Windbreaker, I have enjoyed a lot. I liked the characters. It's been fun. It's been entertaining to watch. Male tsundere thing is kind of hilarious. The fights have been good. The animation is great. The first episode kicks ass. It is really good, and it holds up from there, honestly. Like, it's still been a good show. And now I'm only 5 episodes in. Well, but I don't expect it to get any worse. It's been fun. I like Sakura, like, kind of learning to actually have something proper to fight for. The issue is not Jeremy, Nano isn't an elf. And it only allows me to have 4 options. So those are the reasons why Nano is on there. I was exclusively elves on that one. Which, by the way, if we're talking about it, Sylphiette won with like 57% of the votes on that one. It's insane. It was basically Sylphiette at like 57%, Amelia at like 27%, and then the rest is divided between Frieren and Mirabelle, with Frieren being actually the least. But oh well. Hey, Roland, how you doing? We're just about to start talking about news and shit. Yes, I saw that. I saw that you voted for the racist. All right. So let's pull up a little bit more Gunnar material. We're going to start here because this is ground zero for the Art Wars 2.0. Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with what this is Kohei Horikoshi's personal Twitter account. And since My Hero Academia has ended, he has been sketching his characters. So this, to answer your question, what the fuck is that thing? This is Mirko, yes. Roland got it right. This is Mirko from My Hero Academia. Now, the point of this is he was really trying to emphasize the eyes is effectively what you can interpret from this. So everything is really like pale and bright to emphasize the fact that there is only one part that is like vibrant color, and that is, the red of her eyes. Okay. Cool. No big deal. Until people who have attached their entire identity to the character being quote unquote black start acting like fucking retards. Why is she white, Horikoshi? Why is she white? Why is she white? It's his character, yeah, so maybe he should draw her, or he should learn how to add her canon color to his artwork. I don't know. Love her, but ain't no way you Nico Robined her. When they turn my queen white under the guise of lighting. So as far as this goes, it's not as bad as the Dandadan fan art blowout. But in this case, it is, again, a lot of the people harassing an artist over drawing his character the way he wanted to. Well, here's the thing. I'll get to that. Shit. Here's the thing. Was she black because she had a big ass? No. So she's actually like, I believe she's canonically like Okinawan, so she's just really tanned. Much like Nico Robin is white, but really tan. So yeah, she's not even black. She's just a darker skinned Asian woman. And that's never been in contention, but everyone wants to act like that is her actual skin color. And that she can only be black because she was dark skinned, and as if they've never been to Southeast Asia or whatever. And this is the kind of thing that started the Don art blowout. This is the kind of thing that a lot of people got really, really fucking pissed off about, is because this stuff will happen on Twitter where an artist will draw something that isn't the right skin color, and they will get harassed like this. They will get shit talked like this. And people got fed up with it around the Don stuff because, well, they then went and took a character and drew them in a non-canon skin color. And they'll tell you that blackwashing doesn't happen out of spite, but in this, there were a lot of people retweeting this, blackwashing it out of spite because they didn't like that Horikoshi drew her as a much paler, or drew her in a much paler version. Never mind the fact that she's always kind of had the albino bunny look to her. Never mind the fact that, like, the red and the white fur, red eyes, that's albinism. This is true. It don't matter what color Mirko is, I'd smash. I respect that position. A lot of people just get obsessed and attach like their entire identity to like certain characters being like them or looking like them or whatever. And then they get really, really upset when you disturb that delusion. And they take it out on you and everyone else and act like you're the problem for it. The fact is, it's fiction. It shouldn't affect your life this much. I don't care if you draw your fan art as black characters, okay? You could draw Tony Stark as a black dude. I wouldn't give a fuck. You could be a black dude cosplaying Tony Stark. I wouldn't give a shit. Okay? I genuinely do not care about any of that stuff. The moment you start making it an issue and harassing people and being an asshole over artwork like this, then I take an issue with it. Yeah. Bro! As if the whole conversation last night wasn't enough. You keep adding, dude. You keep adding to it. Yeah, it shouldn't matter when it comes to fan art, and it shouldn't matter when it comes to cosplay. If the author of the series, the creator of all of this, decides they want to draw their character like this, they are perfectly welcome to. And you don't get a say in what they're allowed to draw. You don't get a say in maintaining something just for your delusion. The fact is that Mirko was tan. She was tanned, not black. So her skin color was really only the result of her exposure to the sun. And, well, if that's the case, then you can draw her pale. You can draw her looking like this. And, of course, we get Jeremy Turner with the 5 gifted memberships. And you know what that means? There you go. Thank you, Jeremy Turner. I do appreciate the money. And they went to RG Energy, Pika Fan, Aragorn Bilbo Man, King David Beast 82, and Zahn. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. She is still tan, yes. Like, she could have been much paler, and I think it's just an issue. It again comes down to the way that Horikoshi wanted to portray this. But that is effectively the bullshit that has been spread around. That is effectively the Art Wars 2. The dumbass fucking conflict on Twitter. And I wish I didn't have to. Well, sorry. It's not that I don't wish that this wouldn't have. Oh, no. It's not that I don't wish that I wouldn't have to cover this. I just wish it wouldn't have to happen. I wish it wasn't happening. I will always cover it because I think anyone who wants to harass artists over what they draw is retarded. Because one of my favorite artists one of my favorite fan artists is very risque and likes to push the envelope a lot. Makes some very, very implied jokes with his artwork. It's always something with that dude. So let's go here and close these out and continue moving along because I got some ground to cover. We'll save the articles for later. Let's keep it to Twitter bullshit, and we'll cover the articles and stuff last. So let's start because this is another big topic that happened. Right when I dropped my Crimson Walsh impression, this happened. This clown fuckery dropped on the internet. And now keep in mind, Homath over here, history's manliest and most hilarious sex genius. What the fuck are you on about? Shut the fuck up. But effectively, this post was another source of conflict on the internet. Such a cool drawing, but these twit idiots won't focus on that. They only care about the race of the character because they are racist. Yes, effectively. Rumor has it Crimson draws me. Oh, fucking hell. Fuck off. Screw you, Biggles. Okay, so back to Homath being retarded. So, yes, I can. We'll skip that. This is going to clear up a lot. So go pee or get a glass of water first. You're going to need a minute to process. Welcome back. Have you noticed how leftists gravitate to certain things? How sort of the same way that conservatives go hunting and fishing and watch sports, leftoid goblin perverts like these cluster around things like anime, video games, sexual deviance, and anthropomorphism. Do you see where this is going? See you later, Philly roll. I'll see you later, cheesesteak Rolo. So basically, this is a whole thing about how anime is actually satanic and evil for you. And it is very long. So we'll continue. Well, conservatives do those things because that's what everyone else did. Daddy hunted, Grandpappy was a Calvinist. But no one has done any of this dog mask shit before. Now, if you ask them, they might tell you that they chose their thing because they are progressive. We are creative souls expressing who we truly are or whatever. But if that was true, wouldn't they all have their own individualistic expressions of self? Why would pup play become a popular thing? What is it, like 10% of them now? Tell that to the Vatican and their new anime mascot. Yeah. So right off the gate, like this whole part is just dumb, and I don't think I really need to explain it, but like you're effectively insinuating that only leftists like anime and that like real men don't like anime or video games or anything because that's not what the old people did. A while ago, Matt Walsh stated, perhaps rhetorically rather than conversationally, no, it's a Schrodinger's douchebag thing where he made a statement, got flack for it, and pretended like it was a joke. That he felt that anime was satanic, though he could not explain why. I offered to explain why in exchange for exposure, which isn't coming, I guess. So I'll reveal the through line now. Leftists actively hate their own free will. What the fuck does this have anything to do with cartoons and anime and video games? All of this weird shit they do, those are attempts to rid themselves of responsibility. How? They don't want to be held accountable for anything. You know, like what we complain about in typical immature women. Oh, so this is one of those like alpha male, all women are screwing over the dating pool and it's only the women who are doing bad things. And that makes a lot of fucking sense. I'm a dog. I'm just a dumb animal. Care for me. This is why children's cartoons are always animals. Animal nature equals child nature equals innocent equals no free will. No, they pretend to be dogs because they're fucking delusional. I'm actually a woman. I'm valuable because I exist, not because of what I do. Games, I still have to play and learn. I'm not a grown up yet. I love how he just lumps games in here. Communism, guarantee me an income even if I do nothing. Here we go. Even the most homosexuality, I'm in the girl's role now. It happens to me, not because I earned it, but because I'm here. I like how in the middle of all these things, he puts games like I still have to play and learn, as if video games aren't just a way of relaxing. As if video games aren't just some form of escapism, a way to get away from all of the problems of the world. Same with anime. Exactly. This is the kind of vibe I get from this. I'm busy getting pussy. Well, have fun getting STDs, dude. All right, so here we go. So what does this have to do with anime? Well, there is a reason I use cartoons in my video. It's because they're simple. Like games, like A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Cartoons are a way of depicting only the part of something that you want people to look at. What the fuck are you on here? In what way is a cartoon inherently simplified? What are you even... Look at these faces I drew. The male one is just 3 circles, 2 dots, and a wavy line. There's very little room for interpretation. He's puzzled. She's disappointed. All of the remaining complexity of human... This takes... This takes any culpability out of like a story or anything. It only shows what you want it to. As if you can't infer. We just had a long conversation about Cowboy Bebop not too long ago. And about how a lot of the things that you will see within the story, there's a lot of implied stuff going on there. Things that aren't shown or even mentioned, but things that are very, very heavily implied with the story. Cartoons are a way of depicting only the part of something that you want people to look at. No, they're just made for fun. Look at these. Okay. All of the remaining complexity of humanity is stripped away. As if you can't have complexity in anime or whatever. I don't know what the fuck you are trying to talk about. Drawing cartoons equals I did all the work of interpretation for you. No, that's a big problem we have in the anime community is people don't want to interpret shit. There's a lot of interpreting that goes into watching some of these shows. There's a lot of things that you have to sit and think about. There are a lot of shows that have a lot of complex parts and actually make you sit and think about what's going on. That's why people come to me. I teach things quickly by showing you only what you need to see. Stop jerking yourself off. Cartoons, anime in particular, are similarly stripped down, and anime in particular acts as a gateway drug because it's so widely used as a style. You can jump from artist to artist without feeling like you've changed channels. What the? Excuse me? I would want you to go from Berserk to Naruto and tell me like you haven't changed the fucking channel. That's bullshit. And this guy has clearly never watched any anime. And there is infinite content. So you spiral down into self-imposed infancy, which is satanic. You start with Akira or Cowboy Bebop, and you end up developing feelings for anime girls. Okay. The parasocial relationship and the obsession part of it, sure, you can argue that those are bad things. I don't care. Like, I would agree. There's a level of obsession where things dominate your life and a level of parasocial relationship where things do become a problem. When you can't distinguish between reality and fiction anymore, you have an issue. Guys, I think you're being too harsh on him. He clearly is talking about CoComelon because that's what his IQ and maturity can handle. Or Ghibli and Hiro Mashima. Yes, you would have a very hard time arguing that those are the same thing. You end up developing feeling for anime girls who are easily idealized because they are only the bits of girls that you like. You mean that someone made a fictional character to be appealing? Now you're basically complaining about an entire part of fiction with none of that pesky human nature. Oh, fuck off. You desire simpler, less human. Okay, so it's wrong to have an idealized person in fiction. That is the entirety of fiction. Your chosen content gets more and more childish. Disney, My Little Pony, whatever the internet has to offer, anything you can think of. Now that's just fucking horseshit. You're going to start watching anime and you're going to get more and more and more childish. You're going to spiral into liking My Hero Academia, My Little Pony. You get sucked into the feeling of experiencing only the good parts of life and none of the downsides. And before long, it comes out in your politics. I should be a baby, feed me when is all the left says anymore. I don't care about your fucking politics, okay? Politics has nothing to do with this. A lot of people turn to anime because it is entertaining, it tells good stories, and people like that. A lot of people want to escape from reality. They don't want to be stuck in the constant fucking mindset of, I gotta do something. I gotta be alpha male and be worth something. I gotta stick my dick in everything that moves because I'm an alpha male. And since we are long past the point where anyone who falls into this soul blender can really find others to support their delusions with a few clicks, we now have them acting it out in public under the guise of art or identity. Look at absolutely any weird thing the left does, and what you will find is, I'm baby, I deserve. No one wants to grow up, and you can't blame them. It doesn't pay anymore. Finally, if that wasn't enough for you for one day, read about who Aleister Crowley was and what the Aeon of Horus is. So this is this is what he imagines all anime and cartoons are. This retardation. So in his mind, he has boiled everything down to looking like this. As if there's nothing else to it. As if there's literally nothing else to it. But he has more to say. Dear anime fans who didn't like this post, please spend just 1 minute imagining the founding fathers signing the Declaration of Independence in a room full of One Punch Man and Dragon Ball Z posters. Interesting, because I'm pretty sure someone actually took him up on that offer and imagined it. And honestly, it looks fucking rad. Like, genuinely, that looks cool. What are the odds he's very familiar with Mr. Hands? Well, here's the thing. Is the founding fathers were literally like LARPing as like Roman politicians and doing all this shit. They were being equally fucking clown asses. When it comes to this stuff. I can close out that. I think this is really the only one that I need that I have left to share. This one here. So he continues to seethe because people don't fucking yeah, little known fact, Aleister Crowley watched Magical Girl anime. Oh. So anyway, there are anime and video games with right-wing values. Fish, you say hooks are dangerous, but many hooks have worms on them, which are good for eating. I think Shad just wants the validation and engagement. I think his take overall is retarded. Because he effectively tried to emphasize it by making he tried to make a character that looked like a generic fucking mobile game ad and say that his looked better and was more appealing than Studio Ghibli. Which I would argue the simplicity of Studio Ghibli's art is what makes it look good, is what makes it appealing. But I digress. That's another topic entirely. But yeah, this guy is effectively equating all video. He is effectively saying here, yes, all video games, all anime, it's all bad because it doesn't have right-wing values. Well, the point of it isn't that it has right-wing values. It's the point of it is that it's a good story, that it is a show or a piece of media that is worth enjoying. I pay for myself and game because it's fun. What is the issue with maintaining hobbies? Are we going back to the idea that anything not directly benefiting others is somehow beneath men? Yes, that is effectively what he is saying. He is effectively saying that if you aren't constantly in the mindset of I gotta do something, I have to be alpha male, I have to be provide, I have to be strong. Like, you're never supposed to escape the woes of the world. You're never supposed to just have some downtime to yourself to take your mind off of all the things that trouble you. And he goes on to say, what is your life about? What is your mission? What is your purpose? What do you like most about life? Do you have it? Do you, what do you like least? Can you change it? Are you trying? Is there any time at all in your life that you could be spending on those questions that are instead spent on pleasure for its own sake? That is effectively his take right there. All of that boils down to, if you have fun, you're wasting your life. Yeah. Yes. His whole take here, it can boil down to this one point. If you are not constantly focused on doing something, if you're not constantly engaging your mind, if you take one moment to relax and reset and just step away from everything and enjoy your life, That is bad. That is his entire take here. You should never take the time to enjoy to enjoy a hobby or a piece of entertainment or anything because it's bad for you, because it's a distraction. You're not being the man you're supposed to be. I should be careful or else the alter ego actually will come out. He's probably bitter because he got rejected by like a Makima cosplayer or something. So yeah, that is the biggest fucking clown ass on the internet. And it's not even like this is like exclusive to just the like hardcore like Meninist sort of conservative types, because we see stuff like this all the time too. If you are interested in toys, superheroes, Legos, etc., as a man, you are a French baguette. And you need to get your testosterone checked. These hobbies have something in common. They are juvenile. They are meant for children. There is zero risk or skill involved, as if something is supposed to have risk or skill to be worthwhile or to have any sort of merit in doing. They are meant for children. There is zero risk or skill involved. In fact, even little boys should not have these hobbies. When they do, they are rightly bullied by other. Okay, so now you're encouraging bullying. Hobbies like hunting, fishing, carpentry, golfing, surfing as masculine, and because they are taking risks, athletic, or building something useful. Healthy men live in the real world, not in gay little fantasies. Get a grip. I don't understand why so many of these people insist on just berating people for hating. It's literally like, I made that whole Crimson Walsh video based off of just stuff I came up with off my head. And then all of the proof fell into my lap. This person is literally making the argument of, well, why play Monster Hunter when you can go spear hunt an elephant? It is incredible to me that so many people want to just destroy any credibility they have by saying that you're not allowed to have fun. You're never supposed to engage with culture. You're never supposed to have fun. You're never supposed to enjoy anything, according to a lot of these people. And they all fall to one side pretty much. Well, no, they don't, actually. That's a lie. That is blatantly a lie. They're on both sides. You just have one side who is puritanical to the left, and you have one side who is puritanical to the right. Effectively, they do the same thing. They just do it for different reasons. Right? What's masculine about fishing? Stories are fun. There's a reason why we have so many of them in our culture. They carry values. And more than that, they are entertaining. Sometimes you find a character who inspires you in life. You find something that you really like, and you get a message out of it that actually changes your life. I'm pretty sure everyone here has probably found something like that in their time on this earth. And to overlook that is just a crime. But to go and say that you must constantly suffer the woes of the world and never have any escapism is a miserable existence that I would never want to subject anyone but the worst possible members of human society to. Never have an escape. Never have a reprieve. Always suffer. Yeah, you can miss me with that. I want no part in your bullshit. All right, well, let's do a couple of these articles because I said we'd talk about them and then we'll wrap up. I wasn't talking about you, but if you want to categorize yourself there, fine. Storytelling matters. Otherwise, why believe the Bible or any religious events, a text ever? These guys have no ability to self-reflect at all. Well, it's basically just the whole argument was a bunch of fucking grasping at straws, talking about how if you watch one anime, you're gonna spiral out of control and start watching My Little Pony, which is it's bullshit. Your life is gonna be consumed by that stuff. It can be, but the obsessive kinds of people are going to go there anyway. You can waste your life on these things. I won't deny that, but it doesn't mean that you will. If I get off work at the end of the day and I come home and I play some fucking Minecraft or something, am I wasting my life? Because I've just put in a full 8 hours of work and then hit the gym after that. And then I get home, I'm like, you know what? I don't really want to do anything today. So I'm going to turn on Minecraft and just enjoy it. Because I'm not doing absolutely everything, I am now somehow a failure. It is literally the same thing as the left. You can never escape the real world because we need to subject you to it to make you miserable so that you fall in line. It's the same thing the left does. The right's doing it, just in a different way. All right. We'll move on now. Not only is it an escape, it's also a common way to take complex real-life ideas and break it down into down to easy to digest ways. Sure, it does help portray certain things pretty well, if done right. That doesn't mean it's any less complex, but it does help portray many concepts. So this is one thing I did want to talk about. Actually, yes, you're only allowed to watch me and Biggles, no one else. Never tune into anyone else ever. We're the only people you need. This is a cult now. Former PlayStation president says Nier Automata saved Japanese video game industry because it convinced devs to stop imitating overseas trends. Don't forget to talk about how much you hate your wife. That's got to be in there too, because that's a conservative staple. In the opinion of former PlayStation president Shuhei Yoshida, were it not for Yoko Taro's Nier Automata, proving to his fellow Japanese game devs that their own cultural identity was their biggest creative strength, the entire local industry would have long since ceased to exist. Yoshida, who first joined Sony as one of the original PlayStation console devs before being promoted to SIEVP in 2000, president in 2008, and eventually retiring this past January, offered his glowing praise to 2B's fight against the machines during a recent career retrospective interview given to Munechika Nishida for the Japanese news outlet AV Watch. What the fuck, Pilgrim? Get that garbage out of here. That is not allowed. I will not let that kind of a sin pass in my fucking chat. Okay, so asked for his thoughts on the stark difference between the niche nature of Japanese media, in particular video games, from the late 2000s to the mid 2010s, the massive popularity such productions enjoyed today, the former Sony began by recalling how recalling how the source of this discrepancy was, in fact, that as games became more realistic and Hollywood-like titles started emerging, there was a period during the PS3 era where Japanese creators thought, we need to make something that will appeal overseas. Let's try creating something with a more Western feel. But in the end, he explained, as machines translated by ChatGTP, because there was no original context from the overseas market perspective, it ended up being somewhat like, what is this? And didn't succeed. To this end, Yoshida then noted how the game that drastically changed the situation, in my opinion, was Nier Automata, released during the PS4 era. I believe that Yoko Taro created Nier without thinking about selling it overseas. Yes, and this is one of the big things about Japanese media that has made it so successful, is its cultural identity. We've talked about this. This is one point I do like to constantly hammer home, is the fact that Japanese media in and of itself succeeds because of what it is. Not because of any Western influences. People go to it because of what it is, not because we want it to be something else. With Nier, everyone realized this. It wasn't just about thinking, this is fine, but rather, this is the way we must do it, or we have to do it this way. As a result, Japanese creators began to move away from trying to imitate the West, and they started creating content based on their own culture and things they understood, believing that the world would appreciate it. And this is kind of the same for certain like Bollywood movies too, like RRR. That movie is fantastic for what it is. Is it dumb? Yes. But it is fantastic for what it is. The cultural identity of whatever media is there, you shouldn't try and replicate it to try and sell it overseas. Just make something you think is good. Yes, exactly. Just make something you think is going to be good, something that you're passionate about, rather than trying to make something that replicates what you think is popular. I believe we can clearly divide the Japanese gaming industry into two periods, before and after Nier. Nier was the title that made everyone realize the importance of creating something Japanese. It was a turning point that revived the industry. The development of digital distribution also played a significant role in this shift. Yoshida concurred in of his praise. With digital distribution, every niche theme, even niche themes, can succeed. Japanese culture has gradually spread overseas, and with that, gathering people from all around the world who are interested in it can create quite a large market. Yes, so people are. All right, see you later, Biggles. Have a good night. One of the reason people go to Japanese media is because, well, we like what it is. We like it for what it is. It doesn't need to change. If it continues being that, then it'll be okay. Notably, following this official publication on AV Watch, Yoshida's interview would subsequently catch the attention of none other than Taro himself, who would respond both offering his gratitude for the praise and a slight clarification that he was not solely responsible for Nier Automata's Japanese authenticity. I'm honored that Automata has been highly evaluated, but it was producer Saito who instructed me, don't worry about the overseas evaluations, just make the game for Japan. Ugh. Wrote the game director via his personal Twitter account. To be more precise, I remember something along the lines of him saying, Yoko-san, it's impossible for you to make a game for overseas audiences, so at least try your best to make it for Japan. And that in and of itself is, why I don't understand why a lot of these bigger companies will try and push for like embracing the Western market. Is they've clearly succeeded by making things that are authentic to Japanese culture. They've clearly succeeded in doing these things already. So why would you bother changing the formula when what you're doing is the reason people are interested in it to begin with? Don't fix what ain't broke. You're fucking yourself over by doing shit like that. I completely agree that if with the creators there, that if people just focus on making things that are authentic, making things that are fun rather than trying to appeal to trends or copy all the big popular stuff like corporations do, Let artists and creators actually be artists and create, and you will succeed. Let people who are passionate about things, this goes for like Western productions as well. Why fan projects are so much better than like actual like proper Western productions now. If you let people who actually care take over, then well, fuck, you'll succeed. But no, it's got to be about what's popular and about what's proper. Screw that noise. Yeah, just make it for Japan and the West will love it. Most of it, at least. Yeah, for the most part, yeah. All right. Here we go. So, this is one I've been wanting to talk about for a while, but just haven't had the opportunity or forgot about it. So, it's been sitting on the back burner, and it's something I really wanted to talk about. It's going to be imperfect. Berserk's new writer opens up on continuing the series after Miura's passing. Following the passing of original Berserk creator Kentaro Miura, new story supervisor Koji Mori has revealed his honest thoughts on his duty to continue the beloved series in the years to come. Berserk fans once again came to terms with the series' future following Koji Mori's bittersweet afterwards in Volume 42. Now officially translated into English with Dark Horse Comics, released on March 18th, 2025. Mori and Studio Gaga, the studio that Miura set up for him and his assistants, have been responsible for continuing the series via Reddit. Mori's afterwards says, "Thank you very much for picking up Berserk Volume 42. From here on, it will be Berserk without Miura. Naturally, it's going to be imperfect. I'm sure there are those who will find that hard to accept. I myself feel the same way." Make it for the West, like current games, Assassin's Creed, Star Wars Outlaws, Skull and Bones, Avowed. Those went over greatly, right? This is the big gripe of mine. Blank is for everyone. No, it's fucking not. Everyone is able to watch it, but not will like it. That's perfectly fine. Don't try and change it to get everyone. Exactly. And everyone property is a no one property. And a property that's targeted, that caters to a group, a specific audience, is going to be much more appealing to people as a whole. All right. Continuing on with the article, though. As a manga artist and as a fan, no one is more of a Miura fundamentalist or admirer than I am, Mori continued. But as the one who was closest to him and as a good friend, I can't simply neglect the story he was trying to complete. I ask that you please pardon me from that. All the editors and everyone on Gaga staff are working as hard as they can to live up to Berserk and Miura's legacy. Each volume that's published from here will be the embodiment of that sentiment. All of you who love Berserk, may your thoughts always be with them. And I'd love it if you'd be willing to give us your support until the very end. With sincere thanks to everyone involved with Berserk, and to everyone who loves it, Koji Mori. This is one of the things that I do like about the way that the Japanese treat their IP as compared to like the Americans. Is here you see a man like humbly admitting that he will not be able to live up to the original creator, but he will give his best possible effort to do so. He will do everything in his power to try and deliver the story that was planned and interrupted by a tragic series of events. And I respect this move, like genuinely. This is a huge property. And the fact that he's come out like right out the gate being like, I guarantee you that I am going to screw things up and you're probably not going to like it. Trust me. I feel the same way about not being able to do exactly what he does or what he did. You don't get that kind of humility and that kind of respect out of Western creators anymore. Their respect is only insofar as they can use it for their own gain. So here we shall continue. Miura passed away in May 2021, prompting an outpouring of support from colleagues and fans. In June 2022, Haku Sensha, which publishes Young Animal magazine, where Berserk is serialized, announced the series would return that month. At the time, Mori said it was impossible to perfectly achieve Miura's intentions, but the Miura that had taken root in them through conversations was what they aimed to show the world. Berserk is among the best-selling manga of all time, with over 60 million copies in circulation. Its popularity carries overseas. New U.S. sales data reveal that Berserk Deluxe Volume 1 was the best-selling volume of any manga in 2024. Based! The series as a whole also ranked 5th in America's best-selling manga of 2023 rankings. Dark Horse licensed Berserk in North America and describes the first volume. Okay, that's irrelevant. We don't need to talk about that. The point is, I did want to cover this guy's genuine thoughts on this manga, because it is a really, really huge thing. Like has been said, Berserk is a huge property. A lot of people love it, myself included. And I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I'm glad that they're continuing it. I respect the move. It is going to be a very difficult thing to live up to fill the shoes of Miura, because it is one of the manga greats. They rarely respect their audience. If the audience doesn't like it, it's the audience that is wrong. Of course, not the creator that gets rejected unanimously. Exactly. All right. So let's finish the night out with some random stuff. And one of these articles is actually good. One of them has some interesting points, but the other one not so much. And we're starting with this one. This spring 2025 Crunchyroll anime may already be the next Solo Leveling. It's impossible not to launch into a new anime season without at least one new isekai anime premiering. And that anime adaptation for The Beginning After the End leads the charge for spring 2025 on Crunchyroll. Adapted from a popular high fantasy web novel and manhwa written by Turtle Me and illustrated by Fuyuki23, The Beginning After the End follows a typical isekai format. Born into another world after his untimely and mysterious death, King Gray is forced to navigate his new life from infancy while still retaining all the memories from his previous life. It's a plot anime fans have seen come to life 100 times. Isekai are a dime a dozen these days, and there are plenty of ways for them to whisk fans and protagonists away to another world and life. The heroes in Isekai series all too often meet an untimely ending, only to be reincarnated in another world where the power dynamics stack heavily in their favor. For King Gray, little is known about his death, but anime fans learn a lot about him in the premiere episode of The Beginning After the End. Like what? That he doesn't understand what love is? Through the confused inner dialogue that begins with his rebirth and follows into his new life as Arthur Lewin. A lot of fans compare The Beginning After the End to the likes of Solo Leveling and Mushoku Tensei, mainly because it began as a web novel and manhwa, only to be later adapted into an anime. Solo Leveling and Mushoku Tensei have both. Well, they compare it to Solo Leveling because it's a manhwa and it's a very popular manhwa. They compare it to Mushoku Tensei because it literally starts out the exact same fucking way. Have both earned their spot in anime fans' hearts, but those new to The Beginning After the End will more than likely ask why it's worth investing their time in. As previewing season 1, episode 1, I could easily say that the elements setting The Beginning After the End apart from other anime in the isekai genre are reason enough for fans to take the chance on it. Reborn as a peasant named Arthur, Gray's lack of control over his circumstances makes him highly moldable character for the long haul. Okay. We learn in the first few minutes of the anime that Gray was a power-hungry tyrant, and after his unexpected death, the voice between life and death told him to take his new life and find the light rather than gravitating toward the darkness that overshadowed his entire existence as King Gray. Cool. Okay, I don't really care about the cast. The first episode of the beginning after the end anime gives viewers just enough information about Gray to make his character sympathetic. Not really. It just kind of tells you that it kind of like it effectively gives you the I was an orphan and our whole kingdom is built on this power dynamic where we kill each other for the throne. So I never knew peace. That's what you get. He was an obvious villain in his last life, so it's all but guaranteed his death was warranted. But even if he can't remember it, amid the challenge of starting life over from scratch, Gray is reborn into a high fantasy world where mana and magic are strongly tied to the overall power dynamic. Gray dominated in a technologically superior world, but as he begins learning about the magic-driven society he's reborn in, he discovers the concept of mana is not too dissimilar from the power of ki he harnessed in the last life. It's really not really like giving us anything that's actually like setting it apart here. Barely reaches the ripe old age of 2 in the premiere, so it's really just talking about the first fucking episode. Yeah. I bring this up because if you're you literally gave like a synopsis of this, but you didn't actually like it doesn't actually end up talking about like the proper the animation is yeah. Okay, you know what? I'm bringing this back up. It literally goes on to say the animation is precise, even as it moves through some incredibly raw and gritty scenes, and the color balance between Gray's memories and his new life. This is literally like scraping the bottom of the barrel for compliments for the series. The pacing of the premiere episode is well thought out, providing just enough information. It does not do a good job of selling you the main character, in my opinion. What to expect from the overall plot without info dumping us. It does info dump us about the fucking mana and all that stuff. With better. The quality of the story and animation don't continue through each and every episode because all of the assets went into producing a stealth. Oh my god. When was this written? 6 days ago. Okay. If you think that is the stellar premiere of this anime, you're high. Like, I don't know what you're smoking if you think that is a stellar premiere. But there is one more article, and I do think this one has a decent point, and it's not the point you would expect. Not the point I expected, anyway. So this is the last thing I'm going to cover tonight. So let me explain why the beginning after the end has an undeniable advantage over Mushoku Tensei. The beginning after the end is getting compared to Mushoku Tensei left and right and center. And there are reasons for that. For starters, the creator of the beginning after the end admitted that the story was heavily inspired by Ryufuji Namaganote's masterpiece. Moreover, after the first episode aired, terrible animation aside, yes, see, it's not a stellar premiere. I was shocked to see just how similar the portrayal of Arthur Lewin and Rudius Greyrat's childhood seemed. However, there is one advantage the beginning after the end has over Mushoku Tensei, and I'm here to explain it to you. They share a lot of similarities. Yeah, Stellar Premiere is that's a stretch. While Mushoku Tensei is widely hailed as one of the best isekai anime series, The Beginning After Your End was one of the most anticipated. Although I was severely disappointed after that first episode, all hope might not be lost just yet. Even in the blatant similarities between the two series, to the point of The Beginning After the End being inspired by Mushoku Tensei, there is one aspect where both series differ greatly. That is where the way their stories transition. Mushoku Tensei follows the story of a jobless loser and outcast being reincarnated in a fantasy world as Rudius Greyrat with all the memories of his previous life intact. As the story progresses, he makes it a mission to enjoy life's pleasures while mastering sorcery so he doesn't have to die again with regrets. So basically, it is taking life seriously. That is the point of Mushoku Tensei. The Beginning After the End, on the other hand, follows King Gray, a battle-hardened, ruthless leader who is reincarnated as Arthur Lewin in a magical world, whose strong magic garners attention since he was a toddler. As the story progresses, Arthur reflects on the errors of his past and life and vows to live a life filled with peace, kindness, and sincerity with his loved ones. Then shifts to a young Arthur, standing once again on the precipice of his nation at war with complexities that threaten to take him back to a crueler version of himself. Moreover, he, as well as the readers, slowly realize that King Gray didn't reincarnate as Arthur Lewin on a random whim, but of fate, but for a very good reason. He wasn't the only one to do so. Although both shows seem pretty similar up until a certain point, the focus of both stories shifts abruptly. That is exactly the edge The Beginning After the End has over Mushoku Tensei. As I stated above, Mushoku Tensei primarily focused on the self-fulfillment fantasy of an outcast who died with too many regrets to count. It's a little bit more than that, but okay. Whereas The Beginning After the End takes the readers on a journey of the redemption arc of a monster. So basically, really the difference is that Mushoku Tensei isn't a redemption story. It focuses on taking life seriously and actually putting in some effort to better yourself and overcome your circumstances. And The Beginning After the End actually is a redemption story of a person like going out of their way to sort of atone for their sins, I guess. Redemption arc of a monster through new battles and wars that can make or break the fate of a nation. Interestingly, The Beginning After the End manhwa starts as a pretty generic isekai story. However, it slowly elevates itself into one of the best series in the genre ever. As such, I'm still hoping that the animators have saved their best work for the action and adventure. I agree with that sentiment. I.e., the portions where The Beginning After the End truly peaks. It turns out that other fans seem to be of a similar mind. Yeah, that seems about right. Overall, look, I would say that as of right now, The Beginning After the End hasn't started off on a good foot whatsoever. But it can still turn it around. It can still become a good series. I don't doubt that. But I don't know, right now you're going to have a hard time escaping the shadow of Mushoku Tensei. Especially after that first episode, especially after the bad animation that you had. All right. Anyway, when it comes to stuff like that, to each his own. Yeah. I don't exactly agree with some of Rudius's decisions, but I still like the series overall. That being said, though, this has been me basically catching up on everything that's gone down the past couple of weeks that I haven't gotten to because, well, I've been behind. So, do I have a screenshot of this week's anime? I do. All right. That said, I'm going to wrap it up here because it's been 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I think I've gone on long enough. My throat's starting to get a little painful, and I'm sure everyone's tired. So, to all of you who showed up, thank you. To everyone who gifted money, thank you double because I appreciate it. So the subs and all that. If you want to keep up with me, you can follow me on Twitter and you can subscribe here on YouTube. I'm going to go back to posting this week videos. I'm going to wrap up a couple of series that I never ended up doing videos on. So I have plans to do videos on, let's see here what I got in the works. Well, ReZero is obviously one. So ReZero, Shangri-La, and 100 Girlfriends. Those are the next 3 videos I'm going to make. And then once those are out, I'm going to start doing spring anime stuff. I'm going to let a couple of episodes come out for the spring anime, and that will be that. Otherwise, I constantly kick this around and then almost never end up doing it, but I think I'll probably end up doing some streaming tomorrow because I do want to do a little bit of like modded Minecraft stuff. So I'll probably end up playing a little bit of that and starting a new world and all that, starting from scratch because the world I have running right now, well, it's I've broken a lot of things in that world. Okay, it's just become OP. I'm gonna do things a little bit differently. I'm gonna choose a little bit of different style of play because I have a bunch of like I said, a bunch of mods installed. Some like combat magic stuff from Minecraft. There's a lot of fun things you can do. But that said, I appreciate all of you. It's been fantastic. I enjoy this. Thanks for supporting me. Thanks for watching and interacting. You guys are fantastic. I hope you have a good night, and we'll probably see you tomorrow. That said, later. Catch you in the next one, because I'll definitely be doing this again next week.
Hibana-chan.